effect?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, oppose the same. All right. The minutes are accepted as corrected. The next item on the agenda is the Police Community Engagement Board survey. Jennifer Conrad did a wonderful job in getting it into the form center. And did I send that out to everyone? I had such a full day that I can't remember if I did or not. But let me pull this up. Let me share and see if. All right. Let me find it. Okay, can everybody see it?
Yeah.
Not yet, it didn't open.
Can everybody see it?
It hasn't opened.
Oh, it hasn't opened?
Yeah.
All right, let me stop sharing and share again.
Oh, there you go.
Is it out there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I know Jennifer indicated that she had several questions on it, but I'm going to kind of scroll down, let you look at a section and then kind of scroll down.
And I have not reviewed it yet. Like, this is not published or anything. I just saved it as a PDF from the center.
Right.
So yeah, I haven't reviewed for typos or anything and all that. So I just finished it this afternoon.
Right. On the ethnicity, should it be Hispanic / Latinx, or is just Latinx proper?
I don't know the answer to that, but I could find it out if you'd like me to.
Yeah. Scott, didn't you bring up that it should be Latinx instead
Yeah,
of?
that's how I do it.
Latino is masculine.
Because Latino, was definitely not proper. Latinx, it might be / Hispanic, but I think Latinx.
Yeah.
But
Katie, yeah, let me know. We can always make that change, but I want to make sure it's right.
right.
So if it needs to be Hispanic / Latinx, we'll make that change.
So, I mean, as I'm just looking it up as we're talking, it says that Hispanic refers more to language, whereas Latinx is more of a cultural, association. So I think we're probably safe with Latinx, I think.
I
Does
just found
anybody
that
else
same
have
thing,
any other-
Katie. I just found that same thing. I looked it up too.
That's how I
Okay.
knew it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it says Latinx is a gender neutral term to refer to a Latina person.
Okay.
Yeah, I see. I butchered it anyway. So it's Latinx.
We're all learning.
We're all learning. That's exactly right. So I'm going to kind of scroll down.
So I'll tell you the difference between the buttons, the round ones, and then the boxes. The
Okay.
boxes, people can choose multiples, whereas the buttons forces them to choose one.
Okay. Yeah, because in 3, it says, what platform do you use? So that's signifying 1.
Yeah, and I can change any of those up. I just, made a call based on what you guys had. And I changed around, I added, right before 4, I made the beginning part of 4 kind of like a header for those questions below. Almost outlining what kind of I thought you guys were doing. Feel free to change it. I was just trying to group it in my head.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Angela and Cindy, I sent both of you this, right?
Yes,
I-
you sent it to me.
Okay.
Number 7, can you scroll back up to that?
Yes, sir.
It says, I'm aware of the current WGPD policy regarding use of force, including the use of chokeholds and other respiratory restraint methods. To me, that reads like chokeholds is permissible. My understanding from Chief Curtis is that those are not acceptable. And so I wonder if we just need to tweak the wording of that to indicate that they're not acceptable based on department policy or something.
So like, aware of the current WGPD policy regarding use of force. I don't know if it's banning or just, what's the wording, Chief?
It's prohibited.
Prohibiting?
Prohibited.
Yes, that's the language in the policy is prohibited.
Okay, so prohibiting use of force, or prohibiting
Prohibited.
the use of chokeholds.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm aware of the current Webster Groves Police Department policy prohibiting the use of force, including the use of chokeholds and other respiratory restraint methods.
I thought, well, is it prohibiting use of force, period?
No.
Or is it regarding use of force, including like the prohibition of chokeholds?
Okay.
And other
I
Yeah.
like that, including the prohibition, because
That's better.
Okay.
I can't change this one on the fly because it's a PDF.
You cannot. And it won't help because it's in a form center.
Right. Good catch, John.
The wording on number 4 was awkward to me. Just, I don't know why. It just was.
Who is,
I think it was because I was trying to put in where that blank would go, and it was just a little clunky. So you guys,
I
might wanna-
agree. I agree. I think we could.
Yeah, I agree too. And it looks like, I wonder if there's a word that
Missing.
we need to put in your opinion. We are people of color treated than people. So what are we asking? Are they, what particular way? Because it says choose answer below. People
Choose the answer.
treated than.
I feel like we could change the sentence around and make it so that it makes more sense to have that blank at the end rather than in the middle towards
Yeah, I
the beginning.
think what Angela was saying is that right after the parentheses,
Right.
in your opinion, are people of color treated, there should be a word there
There's
before
a missing,
differently.
something
How
missing.
about this differently?
differently than people.
Right, so there's a word
So
missing. That
there's
may
a
help
difference.
clear it up.
Well, the missing
Yeah, you
word is,
the missing
What they
words are either
filled
more
in.
favorably, less favorably,
Yeah.
the same, or do not know.
What if we said it like, in your opinion, are people of color treated differently than people who are white when stopped by a Webster Groves police officer for a traffic law violation?
And I do
Violation.
strongly
If
agree.
so,
you
are
could
they
say less,
treated?
more favorably.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay,
You see what I'm saying? It would be like
How?
two sentences.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, that sounds better.
You get that, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. It makes it more clear.
Okay, Kevin, I apologize, but I am going to have to leave the meeting.
Okay. Great to see you. Have a great meeting. And is there any date that you can't make in September?
No, these days are, next Tuesday, September the Is that the 15th? Let me look at my calendar real quick.
I would, the week of the 15th, I will be not available, so.
Neither will I. I will be recovering from hip surgery that morning. So
Oh my gosh, well, good luck to that.
that
Prayers
day.
to you.
Good luck.
All right,
Yeah, I'm good.
all right. Thanks, Eric.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Welcome again, Cynthia and Angela.
All right, you may keep going down.
On fill in the blank, the last one, I think I have 500 characters there as an allowance, but I can have more. I can allow more.
This one, number 15.
Yeah.
I think 500 is good.
Okay.
That's a lot of characters. All right, so I know this is like, I gave this to you like a few hours ago, Cindy and Angela, but what is your first impression of the survey?
Kevin, I'm sorry, I did not receive it. I don't
You-
recall seeing that.
You didn't? Okay.
No. So I'm reviewing it for the first time.
Okay, I will,
Which is also interesting.
I think it's a really good survey. I think you can get quite a bit of information about just the culture and climate around policing and just the community's general first impression of the police force and how we utilize police and police services in the community.
And
Cindy and Angela, there's also was intended to have some education in here, and you'll notice that some of those questions are there just to serve that education piece. I'm looking, like number 10, it really tells you how to do that.
Yeah. And Jerry, and that's what I was getting ready to interject, that it does provide information so that if residents aren't aware of some things through this tool, we're not only asking them for information, we're providing it as well. That's exactly what I was getting ready to share. And I think that's helpful.
I do too. It's good.
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of the thing that we struggled with. That's why it kind of took us a long time to develop this survey, is because it started out more of a I don't know, trying to get information from people, and then it ended up being both providing information and trying to receive information. So,
Yes.
So along those lines, some of the questions I had for you all, there's when people finish it and submit it, I'd like to have us develop some sort of a page that it goes to, that says, thanks for filling this out. And kind of like, I don't know if it's like what you guys are going to do with it, or maybe the answers to some of the questions, or where they can find more information, something like that. And then like where we ask about if they know about the Citizens Academy, and if they wanted to know more information. I don't know if you want to have someplace where they could submit their information, or just leave it on them and have them submit it, like say where the email is that they can submit something to, things like that.
well, I'm going to defer this to Chief Curtis for a second, but Chief, this police academy, Scott and I and John started taking the class, and then COVID reared its ugly face and stopped it in its tracks. But it was incredibly valuable information that I think that a lot of members of the public would benefit from. A lot of members of the community would benefit from. And this is given what, every 2 years, is that correct?
Well, excuse me, we'd like to do it every year, but it depends upon the attendance. If we don't have at least, we try to get at least a dozen people. If we don't have at least a dozen, it really isn't productive for us to put it on in terms of our resources. So as long as we can get enough interest, we would like to do it every year.
So, which brings up point that I think I want to make is that if we can promote this on our website to make people aware that it exists, maybe that is an option, and to discuss it. I mean, that's the benefit, quite honestly, of the Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Is it allows more people to sit in and listen to what we're discussing, rather than showing up at City Hall in the police conference room. So I want to be able to take advantage of the situation that we're in right now to communicate this kinds of information to more people that we can reach. So I think it might be a good idea to have that as information on the website. The other thing is, Chief, is it is a 6-week course, and each class is about 2 hours. That's a fairly large time commitment for some people, especially in today's environment. I don't know if there's a way that we can start looking at possibly being as effective as a shorter offering.
What we might be able to do, Kevin, is do it in 2 blocks. It would be better that if everybody is able to attend the whole thing. But as we said with, I think Dr. Gorsh had a issue with maybe not attending all of them. We don't ask you to commit to attend every one of the classes. It's better that you do.
Right.
But if people can even just attend, 3 or 4 of the classes, it's helpful. But what we could look at doing, I mean, I'm sure you recognize through what we do, we basically do blocks. So maybe we could do different blocks that would contain things that would be of different interest of different people. And you could commit to 1 block or 2 blocks so that it would be maybe a shorter time frame for people. But, the cadets who go through the academy spend 1,000 hours. So what we're doing is we're condensing 1,000 hours into 12 hours. So it makes it difficult to make it too much shorter. But I mean, we can do something like that. We could make it 2 blocks where you try to attend both blocks. But again, it's more important, I think. We could put the stuff like use of force and traffic stops in 1 block, and then administrative stuff like report writing and those kind of investigative stuff, evidence processing in another block, so that people could choose one or the other or both. And my guess is most people would be more interested in the use of force code. I mean, ethic code, traffic stop, patrol, tactics, those kind of things, and then put more the administrative and investigative into another block. So, I mean, that's an idea. I think it's a good idea. We could do it where it's in 2 blocks, and you could commit to 1 or both, depending upon your time commitment.
Right. And one of the items that I actually heard interest in is the training simulator that is part of that course, where you're essentially gearing up, and you're presented with certain situations that a police officer would be presented with, and then you're trying to make those split-second decisions that a police officer has to make. I know Scott has been through that twice, and he did a lot better the second time.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It definitely puts you into you get to see the different point of view. And I think it'd be so important to share that with as many people as possible. And in separate blocks, I think makes sense, because most of the concern is around use of force.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the information was really valuable, but I think that's the kind of thing that we could add to our website, and provide information where people could, when we could, direct people to that site. And then as far as what Jennifer's question is on, I know initially we wanted to present this survey to the community groups that we were going to present to. And as we get to that agenda item, I think what we're finding is that with the exception of maybe one or two groups, it's going to be very difficult to do that type of engagement at this point in time. So do we want to put this on the website for people to respond to? And then how are we going to do that? And then do we set a time frame for people to complete it? And then present the findings back on the webpage?
I would think each group has a different strategy that'll work differently for each one. And I thought when we each took one of the groups, we would ask the leaders of those groups their point of view of what's the best way to engage their group, which might be different.
This would actually be not necessarily, that's why on the organization surveyed, if applicable, that's why the if applicable is there, because we may actually post this survey to our website for any community member to respond to it.
Sure.
So I guess Jennifer's question, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Jen, but what she's asking is if we put this survey on the website for anyone, any community member that goes to the website, or non-community member for that matter, because it's an open website, that answers the survey, what kind of response are they going to get when they complete it? And then should there be a time frame that we pull it off, and then tally up the results, and then report those results back on the website?
I do think maybe you need to be careful just letting because anyone can get to the website, right, in the whole wide world.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So I don't know if there's a way that, I don't know what kind of program or sophistication of program, but some way that there's like a gatekeeper for your address or something, just to make sure that it's people who live in the community. Otherwise, I think the data might have the potential of being really contaminated.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think since I was born in Chicago, I would want to make sure that some people didn't get to vote 100 times.
Well, like on the back end, when we see the data, like it does track IP addresses, so we can see that, you know, that there aren't a bunch of front loading with one person doing it a bunch of times. I don't know that there's a way to do anything that would keep like non-residents out unless you require like identification of some sort.
Kevin, can I interject just very quickly?
Yes, sir.
On our survey that we have on our site, as an example, it is a problem. One year we had a difficult issue with one of the residents. We don't think it was legitimate, but you know, that's really not important. What happened was she continually filled out the survey form. So what we were getting was dozens of survey forms from her. Eventually we asked the community service officer, actually called her and said, we understand you're not pleased with the performance of the police department in this incident, but could you please stop filling out forms? It's not giving us an accurate read on what the community actually thinks. So that definitely can be a problem, especially if you get one or two disgruntled people or some people outside the community who can spoil the survey.
Yeah, and we all know that you can send out a call over social media and you can just have people from all over the world go ahead and weigh in. And
Right, right.
So I think Cindy's got a good point here about how we ensure that these are people from our community.
Right.
And this is per
So
person.
I think probably initially the safest thing to do then is not post it to the website. But when we make contact with the community groups, that we provide them with the ability to send it out to their membership. If they choose to do so. I mean, I don't
If
want,
it's not going to be on the website, then it'll just be like a PDF. So you wouldn't have any way to track the info. Just, FYI.
Could it be available? I mean, this is really old school, but it might be worth it. Could it be available on the website to print and send in by mail?
Yeah, I mean, there is just a print option. Yes.
Is it a Google form or is it?
No, it's within our content management system. They have like a form center.
Jennifer, is there a way to have a gateway with a password?
Possibly. I might be able to put it somewhere on the internet and see if that would work.
If we had groups who had the password to get to their members to fill it out, that's a possibility, I would think.
I mean, I just don't. I mean, according to my data, I'm looking at the back end right now, and like the citizen satisfaction survey for the police shows me that there have only been 29 submissions, like ever.
Can it be a Google? I hate going back to that. Can it be a Google form, or does it have to be something within that your data management system?
I mean, if you all wanted to do a Google form, that would be.
I mean,
fine.
it tracks all the information and spits out it can spit out raw data or a graphic.
Our back end can do that too.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if somebody else wanted to do that, that'd be fine.
yeah, Jen,
So
why don't you
if
look
we're
and see if it can be password protected, and then we would provide each organization with a password, each community group with a password to access the survey.
Okay.
But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we could still post it as a PDF on the website. You just wouldn't be able to fill it out unless you filled it out and turned it in.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of thinking about, if it's not posted, how do we engage more community residents beyond just through the community groups? And I know somebody mentioned old school. Is this a tool that we could have available also at City Hall, someplace too, for people to fill in, complete and submit? Like I said, I'm just trying to think about ways that, because I guess I'm not hearing how we're getting the document to many people. So just trying to come up with additional ways to do so.
Right, kind of the history behind it, Angela, was that this was actually designed in order to present to the community groups to facilitate a discussion at the meetings with those particular groups. Initially we were going to do it right live at the meeting, but then we decided that it'd probably be better to send it out in advance so people have time to actually complete it, since there is 15 questions. And then we would, once the meeting started, we would do a presentation, which we'll get to in a minute, and then present the findings at the meeting itself. And go through those at the meeting, and we would at least touch those community members that are in those community groups. And then because of the form center, I just thought it could be a possibility of posting it to the website, and they wouldn't be able to fill it out electronically, but they would at least be able to see it. So they could, I just don't know. I don't know. But initially, the initial thinking was that this would be used as a discussion tool during the meetings with the community groups.
Yeah.
And then if it worked, and if everyone liked it, then we could expand it beyond those community groups.
Okay, I
because
see.
I think this
I
is a
see.
long-term process that,
Okay.
that we need to continue to come up with ways to better engage with the community. So that's
Okay.
kind of the history
Thank-
behind it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay.
So you want to table this and kind of think about it? Because I mean, again, we're going to be contacting these groups over the next month or so, so we can discuss it again in September, and find out, and maybe by that time Jennifer can find out whether we can password protect it, you know, how we can present it to the community groups, and get the information back in an electronic format.
So I was just looking at it, and I can do it where it forces a login, which is just like a, you know, I don't know if you guys, most of you guys have been on the site very much or not, but it forces, like, you can have an account, so it's got like the things that you most often check or whatever. So it would force people to have an account on our website. I mean, it's not like a password protected, but it is, you know, we see who they are.
I think
So,
that
something
might
to
be
think about.
a possibility. Is that kind of like the Friday page?
No, that's like a email thing, but I mean, this is just, yeah, I mean, I guess, yes, if you have a Friday page, you've got an account. If
Right.
you get it, if you get the email, yeah.
So that would probably eliminate a lot of the quote unquote worldwide responses too.
Yeah, I mean, nothing prevents people from like sharing the link or whatever, but I mean, I will be perfectly honest with you. They're just like the forms we have that people use the most are like construction inspection request. And that's been around for 13 years, 14 years, and still only has like a couple of thousand of submissions. So,
Right. Right.
just yeah.
I think, you know, most of those that are going to be completing are the ones that we're reaching out to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We did one with sustainability. It was a feedback form for restaurants, and they submitted, or they sent it to restaurants, and even though it was on the main page, like on the form center, we didn't have anybody who wasn't a restaurant fill it out. So.
Okay.
I
Well,
like the idea of getting going with it, even if we have to go back or tweak it somehow later, just because I think it will show movement and progress. So I mean, I like the idea of taking, even if it's a little bit of a risk to put it up on the website, like let's just start gathering some information and then adjust as we need to, maybe.
I mean, I can unpublish it. Like I published it just to see if I could do it just now. So I can unpublish it and take it down and change stuff with no notice at all. So
Okay.
my other question though was if you guys had any of the questions that you wanted to be required to answer. So just think about that too if you want.
Well, I mean, we could. How about this?
Jennifer,
Yeah.
I thought of your one question.
What?
It was John, I think.
Yeah. And I keep getting an unstable network message, so I may be cutting in and out. But Jennifer, you asked earlier about answers to some of the questions. I think it's 10
Oh,
and
yeah.
13. I think it would be helpful that if there's a response page that they get after they submit it, we have something that says that all of those answers are correct. If we're wanting to use this as an educational tool, I think folks need to know that any of those options are good options.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a great idea. The other thing is you just kind of, a light just went on when you said, is there a required answer? What if we started out with the survey that says, are you a resident, business owner, or student in the city of Webster Groves? And if you in order to continue the survey, you have to select yes. I mean, you're not gonna, people will.
You could just make them choose between those three, like that, you know, are you a resident or a student or a business owner?
Right.
It's good.
So if we could add that in the demographic data
Yeah.
somewhere, then I think that that might, it won't eliminate it, but, you know,
Yeah. And I can definitely keep an eye on it and see. You can tell when things are coming in from
right, right.
people.
But I
Yeah.
like, I mean, I think Katie's right. I think I'd like to get it out there so we can, so that people see progress.
I agree with that. We've been working on this for, seems like forever.
I know.
But it would be good to put something out there.
I agree.
And then I was going to have them emailed to, I mean, I guess I can just get them and then forward them to you, Kevin, or I don't know how you want to do that.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, let's start doing that, and then if I
Okay.
just get bombarded, then we'll have to come up with something different.
Sure. If I get bombarded, I'll want to do something different too.
All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Awesome. Thank you. And then number 5 on the agenda, discuss possible Police Community Engagement Board webpage items. I had a question. Does everyone else get, yes?
It's Erin. Can you stop sharing your screen?
Oh,
if
I'm
you're
sorry.
doing this? Because I can only see you, and I'm guessing at who else is talking because nobody says
Okay.
who they are.
There we go.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So number 5 is discuss possible PCEB webpage items. You know, what do we want on the webpage? What kind of information? I think it needs to change so that it's fresh. It's fresh every time someone goes to it. I mean, we've already talked about adding information about the citizens. I lost my word. The Citizens Police Academy. And then the question I had is, does everyone get the ECINS email?
Yes.
Showing the activity of the week that is occurring within the city of Webster Groves. Dale, is that information that the general public may be interested in? I mean, I get a lot out of it because when I'm looking at the results of something stolen out of a vehicle and the vehicle was unlocked and it happens like 5 times the same week, you know, that's kind of information that might be helpful to the public to say, you know, lock your car.
That's something we try and promote that. You know, went on to the Webster Kirkwood Times before they stopped printing.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people do the online access, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's certainly something that you can put on the PCEB webpage, where it's something we try to share with everyone as much as possible.
It is on the police department webpage. Like there's a link on the side of the police department page, but I can put a link on the side of yours too.
You really have to look. You really have to look for it on our page, though.
Yeah, and I always forget which one it is too. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's make that very easily accessible to everyone that's interested in looking at it. And then I guess other items. You know, I know now on the use of force policy. Regarding chokeholds and other respiratory restraint techniques. That kind of information I think is really important that we put on our website. So I would like to see it. If people have a question about what's going on with the police department, guess what? We're the first place they go. And then if they have any additional questions, then they go to Chief Curtis. I mean,
those policies are on y'all's page. They are on the side there. If you look at the police community engagement board page,
Right.
on the left side, there's statement on use of force, and then there's a
Right.
link to the police department, and then the policies, which are right now it's the code of conduct, code of ethics, and the use of force. But
Yes.
the chief and I just talked today about putting the whole kit and caboodle on there too. So I'll be working on that. And then there's a link to the accreditation process.
Right. Right. And I think that's really good. But somehow we need to make it very user friendly so that people feel comfortable going there to get information.
Jen, do we know how
Yeah.
many people visit that page?
I don't offhand, but I can try to find out.
Okay,
haven't-
so that
I
we
took a
know
look at
what the visitation is on the page already. Thank you.
The police community engagement or that part of the document center?
Police community engagement page.
Okay. Okay. I
Thanks.
won't be able to find out right now, but I will find out.
No, I know. Thanks.
One thing we could think about, this is making me think of just sort of like general public relations for our board, and how many people, I continue to wonder how many people are aware that we exist and what are the best ways to convey that information to people in Webster. Like I was thinking more about, I know the Webster Kirkwood Times is just online now, but that we could do more with them. Maybe we could also, I think it's really, I have very mixed feelings about using social media, but I wonder about that. I feel like at least we should talk about it and think about it, even if we might decide not to. I think we need to think about it in general. We can't ignore that. So anyway, I was just thinking about PR for us is not just that we have a website, but how to promote that website. You see what I mean?
No, I agree. I think that's that's kind of the point I was trying to make is how can we get people there? How can we get in? I'm sure that Jerry is trying to figure out how can you get people engaged in the new development, right?
Yeah, we're all trying to figure this out. And we do have 17 boards and commissions. And so I think the majority of them are stuck in just about the same place. How do the sustainability people get people to know what they're doing, and the arts people and the library people? So, everybody is in that position, and it's really tough. And I think that's the tough thing about the social media business is that if the police community engagement board, and we have to be careful about that because this is an advisory to the council, if they're out there doing social media, are we going to then have 17 boards and commissions doing their own social media? We have to think this through a little bit.
I know the Arts Commission has wanted their own social media in the past, and we've really discouraged that just because who's administering it and all that stuff just is very
Somebody's got to
complicated.
monitor it. It's just really difficult.
Even to say, there are citizen-run, pretty big community groups on Facebook. They're pretty big hotbeds of controversy right now. If we were even to say like, hey, the police community engagement board is meeting tonight, it's open to the public, just wanted to let you know. So that's not us running our own social media, but it's like promoting on social media that we have a meeting. Any of us would be opening up ourselves to a lot of different stuff, but that's not necessarily bad. I think it's an effective way to reach people, but it has a lot of aspects to it.
Well, yeah, the unfortunate fact is the big community-led groups on Facebook and stuff are ones that like we don't have access to. Like we're not on there. So like
right, it would have to be, I think we were kind of saying like, it would be like us acting as private citizens, like to say like, hey, I'm as a private citizen, but I'm also a member of this board, so I want to let you know this is going on.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's complicated. It doesn't,
It's very complicated because there's that issue between being a private citizen, but then identifying yourself as a representative of the government. I mean, we've seen people get into trouble for doing that.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, on agenda item 7, I want to bring that up on agenda item 7, some ideas that we could do. And Katie, keep that in mind when you're saying we can reach out to other community groups and promote our meetings through those community groups. I think there's maybe a way that we can do that. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But on item 6, I mean, just think about design and something, you know, on our webpage that will kind of entice people to actually get to it and be able to easily access information off of it. Once you go to it and you can get information easily, chances are you're going to go back, right? If you're getting valuable information from it. So I think we need to think about those kinds of things. The report on any contacts made with community groups. The only one I heard of was Katie. Katie, go ahead and report on your contact.
I just talked to the Alliance for Interracial Dignity, and they are in the process of trying to figure out how their meetings are going to be working during this, you know, I guess fiscal year or whatever for them because of the pandemic. They're not meeting as they normally would. So they don't have that information yet, but Beryl Carfield told me she would let me know as soon as they have it.
Okay. And then Jerry put together the contact list, and I'm assuming, Angela, that you didn't get that either. I think I may have dropped the ball on sending that stuff to you. So I will, as soon as I'm off of this meeting, I will send you both the survey and this community contact list.
I actually do have the contact list.
I do too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I made contact with Webster Groves University and with Vince Llewellyn, and he's going to get Jennifer Starkey, and I was just going to have a brief Zoom meeting with him in about a week, just to start to strategize.
Excellent.
So I have it set up about a week from Thursday.
And
I wonder if you think I should start sharing at least an early view of the survey.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
See what they think. Like we asked Cynthia, Angela, we asked them today. What do you think? First review.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. John, have you been able to get any, I mean, I think the school districts right now have their hands full. So are there any groups that you know of that's going to be meeting by Zoom?
The Rotary meets every Friday by Zoom.
Right.
And I think that might be a good group to start to experiment with in some way.
Okay. So,
and Kevin, yeah, the principal of the high school has principals advisory group that I'm sure that they'll figure out a way to meet during the school year, so I can get in front of that group and speak what we're doing and share the survey and get feedback from them.
Okay.
The Old Webster Trade Association meeting, Zoom meeting is coming up in a couple weeks or a week. And I've got that, I told Fran, who's kind of our contact, to put on the agenda for me to just kind of give a brief overview of, you know, what we'd kind of like to do in the future with the group as far as, you know, maybe having, you know, us come, you know, a couple people besides me, maybe somebody else join in to talk about the survey and all of that. Or I could always just do it myself too. So it's up to you guys, but I'm sure that, you know, whatever we prefer to do with them, I mean, they'd be a good test group too. There's not that many of us though, because doing it by Zoom has provided us with even less participants than normal. So, but it might be a good kind of place to start testing it out.
Right. Do you want me to contact the Rotary, Jerry Kettenbach? I can do that.
I think that would be good
Okay.
for you to do that. You know, I have enough contact with them for other things, and so it would be good for them to have a fresh face.
I've also reached out to Louis Davis, but he has not gotten back to me yet, so I'll follow up on that.
They're not meeting either.
But I know that I talked to Reverend Hayes, and he said that they're just not meeting right now. So, Angela, are you in the North Webster Neighborhood Coalition?
I am, and I was going to say, no, we have not been meeting. But if you'd like me to, I can follow up with them. You know,
That would be
keep you
great.
updated and keep you
Yeah.
updated on when we do begin to meet. I can do that.
Right. Well, you know, Angela, not even just meeting, if we could
Okay.
maybe start with the survey with that community group.
Okay.
And maybe you could reach out to them. And if you want my help or you know, Cindy's help or anyone else, we can reach out to the North Webster Coalition and try to get some contact going at least with,
Yeah.
and you don't necessarily have to have a formal meeting, I don't think. I think
Right. No, I can
just to reach
definitely,
out.
inquire about that.
I think it's perfect that Angela is here in that regard, because I know she's been an active member of
Yes.
that group,
Mhm.
and that's really what it takes. And so she's perfect for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks, Sharon.
All right.
Another fresh face.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, and if you want to ever call me so we can talk about kind of the history and the information that I can share with you, just feel free to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. I think that's a good start. And then the Old Orchard Business Taxing District is the other one that was on the list, but that's Fran again. And so I think,
They're not meeting at all.
right. Okay. So let's start with 1, 2, 3, 4. That's six groups that we can start with. And what I'd like to do is share again on a PowerPoint, a presentation that I think I sent that out to most everyone, I hope. Let me see if I can find it. And I'm not real good at this, so I'm not a good PowerPoint person.
Well, it's easy. What do you want to do?
I just want to show the slides.
Then just take your cursor over to where it says 1, see it to the left, and then go to the next one and hit your cursor on the
Okay.
next.
Okay, I can slide it down, but I
You can
just want-
slide it down.
Yeah. So anyway, this is kind of the PowerPoint that I had sent out. And I thought I made this up. This is straight from the ordinance. So I think it's important that we have some sort of mission statement. I don't know what other people feel, but I think it's a good thing to start with. So I think, you know, look at this and we can tweak it and wordsmith it and make it a meaningful mission statement. We identified, again, Jerry put the initial together and then I made some modifications, some additions to it. This is the charge based on the ordinance. The qualifications of the membership, so that people have an idea of what the group is comprised of. The members, and then I put in parentheses where in that membership group we sit. So I'm a resident, obviously, Scott's a doctor. And then Katie, resident and psychologist.
I am not, I'm a licensed clinical social worker.
Oh, okay. Reverend Hayes, so on and so forth. Okay. So where to go? So I just thought it was a good idea to put out there. Okay, where do we sit in that membership group? And then the open slide that we would add to as far as what kind of agenda that we wanted to discuss at each of our community group meetings. And when we get through all that, that's probably all the time we're going to have with the initial meeting with the community groups. And then as we get information back through the survey and through our discussions with those groups, then the second round will be a little bit more focused potentially for each group. That's kind of my vision.
I think it's great to have a PowerPoint like this and just start moving forward. I look forward to sharing it this coming week in that meeting I have. So I'll give feedback about how it works.
And
Okay.
we'll gussy it up with some photos. We'll get the new police car in there and a few other things as we get some photos in here, because this is boring without them.
Hey, Kevin, is that the mission statement? Is that something that has pre-existed, or is that something that we're kind of putting together for this?
That is word for word the very second paragraph in the ordinance.
Okay.
Okay. So if you go back and you look at the ordinance, that's exactly what it says.
One thing that I don't know if it's just a thought that occurred to me from our meeting last time. I think we talked a lot about part of our charge is to kind of listen, not just kind of, to listen to the community and to gain a deeper understanding. And I wonder if that should be built in someplace, but obviously, this is just these, a quick visual. But I just wanted to mention that and see what anybody else thought.
No, I agree. I'm not saying this is our mission statement. And literally, just to get a placeholder in there, I wanted to put some statement in so people could edit it appropriately. We need to make sure that we stay within the realms of our charge. But I think that you're right. I think that part of our function, and an important part of our function, is one, to explain who we are, and two, to get feedback from the community on how the community feels as if they want to be policed, so to speak. I mean, that's part of it. It's the engagement, and engagement is not one way, it's two way. So think about it, wordsmith it, send me back things that we can look at again next month. But I don't want to take as long as it took us to put together the survey. I don't want to take that long to put together the mission statement. Because I would like to start reaching out to the community groups within the next month and a half. I mean, we're already making contact, so that's great, but I want to actually make some progress there. So the next, I'm going to stop sharing. So again, Did everyone get that, Angela? Did I send you this one?
Yes, I do have that one.
Okay, so it's just the survey that I missed.
Yes.
Okay,
Kevin, I don't have the PowerPoint or the survey for the minutes.
okay. Survey and PowerPoint to Aaron. Okay. All right. The other methods to communicate with the members of the community, and that's something that Katie, I'm going to stop sharing. I did receive an email last month from Sarah Riss, and she had some ideas on reaching out to some of the local groups without actually meeting with them, but making contact with them through their monthly newsletters, school newsletters, any email blasts that they send out. If we can promote our meetings through some of those methods. I know that, churches put out notices to their membership and to their congregations that, there's an upcoming meeting, with the Police Community Engagement Board. I mean, really right now we have 12 participants. I'd like to see that triple or quadruple as far as people that are interested in our work and what we're trying to accomplish. So I think we reach out to organizations to find out how we can be a part of their communication with their membership. So maybe discuss that when you talk to these organizational leaders on how we can kind of push people toward us, that if they're interested in listening to what we're doing, they're more than welcome and very welcome to participate.
Kevin, I think once we have a survey done and ready to go, we have the PowerPoint, we have the ability to talk to groups, then we have something to share rather than just sitting in on a meeting. And I think that'll make a world of difference. Because that's something you can do with newsletters. You can just say, could we come and speak to you? We have a survey. We'd like to get the input of your group, and here's how you do that. So that rather than having people just listen to us, it's really reaching out and getting their opinion. I think Katie's the one who said we're here to listen.
Yeah.
Right.
And Jerry, I was thinking along those same lines, and I thought at some point we could do a Zoom we could share the fact we have this survey. We're going to be asking people to complete it. I don't know if there was like a semi-formal introduction to this board or not, but it may be a way of just saying, hey, we do have this body that does exist within our community, because I don't think everybody is aware that it does exist. So, that's kind of my thought about, how can we allow more people to learn about the board, but also, like you said, have information to share and request their feedback through the different ways in which we've already established that they can do.
That's actually pretty cool to think about the board doing what we're asking to do at these various organizations, to have the board do the PowerPoint on Zoom and do the survey on Zoom and invite the public to participate in that. That's cool. That's a good thing, rather than just listen to us talk with each other.
Yeah, I mean, you've done that with the collaborative, where you've invited the general public to participate in the collaborative. Maybe we have, instead of having a meeting or a work session, we actually have a presentation that is invited, that we invite through, and then use the organization's newsletters and their methods of communication to get people to sign up to view that particular presentation. So-
That's cool. That's
Yeah. So if we
good,
can,
Angela.
I mean, when we go through the agenda and create the agenda for our initial community group meetings, we do the same thing for the general public, that we invite them in, and then direct them to the survey. And chances are most of the people that are going to be listening to that presentation are going to be community members, right?
And there might be a way, if we can figure it out, to get people to answer the survey questions right there. I mean, there are some clever things that you can do with Zoom now. And if we could figure that out, how to put the survey up and get people who, as they participate over Zoom, to answer the questions. There's got to be a way of doing that.
I think you can set up, I don't know if it's Zoom, but I know some programs let you set up a poll.
Yeah,
And you can have them answer.
that'd be very cool.
Okay. All right, so we can move in that direction. And who wants to try to look into the different capabilities?
I'll do that. I can do that because we work with SG Collaborative, and those are the guys who are doing all the redevelopment stuff, and they know how that works, and maybe they'll be willing to share some of that with us.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be
Do
great.
that.
Okay. Agenda item 8, the report on the community conversations and implicit bias, anti-racist equity systemic racism training initiative. So I was not able to listen in on the last meeting. So Jerry, could you kind of give us an update as to what kind of is going on in that regard?
We're really in an exploratory mode at the moment. Joanne Jadali, our interim city manager, is doing a lot of research now into what other communities are doing, the kinds of training that we've done ourselves, because we're discovering that a lot of our own folks have done some DEI training along the way. We're looking at what other cities have done. There's just a lot of discussion. We've contacted a couple of companies. We're looking at assessment tools. All I can tell you right now is that we really are in an exploratory mode. And I think next week we'll pull the group back together again and share what we found to date. So this is a long-term thing. We're also discovering that the rush to do this has put a lot of demand on facilitators and folks who are out there and engaged in this business. So we want to do the best. This is a long-term thing, and so we're going to be really careful. I just noticed there's a wonderful presentation or seminar that St. Louis U's School of Social Work is doing in September with the fellow anyhow, that might be worth sending that link out for folks. So anyhow, that's where we are. We're exploring. We found one consultant that has a wonderful reputation in doing facilitated community discussions, and so we're seeing what's available there too. So anybody who's involved in this business knows that this is boy, there's an awful lot out there and hard to exactly figure out what the right step forward is, but we'll get there.
Well, one thing that I will continue to do, though, it's always going to be almost a standing agenda item, because
yes, please keep it on there, and
I want to
we'll
make
keep you
sure
updated.
that we are up to speed on what's going on in this regard. Because
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So
Dale Curtis and I today had a very long Zoom conversation with mayor and some police officials and city administrators in another city that found that we have the Police Community Engagement Board, and they really wanted to know all about us and how we function and whether or not this would be a good opportunity for them. And we had a great discussion with them about DEI training and what's out there. And so we'll see. We'll see. That conversation continues.
Right. Okay. Good deal. Remarks of visitors, I received none. But I am going to make a remark. And I don't know if anyone read in Monday's Post-Dispatch the article that Tony Messenger wrote.
Which one?
Don, you're nodding your head. Dale, did you read it?
I did.
And the reason I'm pointing this out is the police departments over the last several months have come under a lot of criticism, and some rightfully so because of the horrible events that we've witnessed. But sometimes, and most times, the police department, they do things right. And Tony Messenger wrote an article about an event that occurred out in Ellisville. And I will make a photocopy of it and send it out to everyone. Because he wrote about that, and I'll read. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's long. But one thing that he said, one of the officers told a person that was involved in this incident, says, "All I'm trying to do is my job," the officer explains calmly to the woman as she rants about white people, police officers killing black men. So I think sometimes, and this is where I get a little bit hesitant to get involved a lot in social media, because they can take an incident that occurs and blow it completely out of proportion with no facts behind it. And Tony Messenger, he dug into the event and looked at the body cam video, and it was the body cam video that pointed out to all those that were watching that the police officers did everything correctly. They were polite, they were courteous, they used de-escalation techniques, they did everything that a police officer should do. And I just wanted to share that information with everyone. And I will again make a photocopy of this article, or you can go out to STL today. It was Tony's take on Monday, August the 10th of 2020. And I just wanted to close the meeting tonight by thanking Dale for all that he's doing to try to make the Webster Groves Police Department the best that it can be. And I think that's a positive message that we need to convey to the community as well. It's not all negative. There are issues that we need to address, but when things like this get reported, I think it's important to share it.
Kevin, I appreciate that, but also that as far as our staff and our officers, they are all working very hard as well. We recognize that there's everything can be improved. There's things that we need to do. We're trying to do them, and everyone on the staff and all the officers are on board, and we're all trying to work hard to provide the best service and meet the expectations of the community. And hopefully that's something we will succeed at.
Right.
I think, do you mind if I chime in?
Sure. No,
I think I want to say that sometimes when we're talking and I think, here's Chief Curtis, and I really respect Chief Curtis, and I see Chief Curtis, I'm always so proud to know him when I'm out in the community. And I know that we're grappling with something that is both what happens in Webster, but also what happens on a bigger level and has been happening for a long time. So we have a really ambitious agenda, or what's put on our shoulders is pretty big, because it's not just about Webster and what happens here day to day. It's also like kind of setting a new tone of or listening in a new way that takes into account lots of people's voices that haven't been heard, not just in our community. So I don't know, I just feel like I wanted to say that because we feel, I think many of us feel protective of lots of different community members, including our police officers. But there's also this bigger thing where lots of horrible stuff has been happening, and we're part of hopefully making some changes with that. Does that, anyway, I just felt like I wanted to say that. Thank you.
I agree with that. I agree with that, Katie. And like I said, I appreciate it. I recognize that. The staff recognizes that. Our officers, I think, recognize that as well. And obviously we can only control what happens in Webster Groves, but there is a bigger picture, and we're part of that picture. So I agree with you completely there.
And that's what's so amazing about this group, is because, you know, it's just, we've got a lot of work to do, but I think that this group can move in the right direction, even at a small scale here, but that message eventually gets out.
I can say one of the things that we shared today with this other city was how this particular group is functioning so well. There's a tremendous amount of respect among the members of this commission, and a lot of listening to each other. I think we've learned a lot from each other, and that's not always the case with every board and commission. But this one it is full of respect and power and the ability to, I think you're right, go beyond just our city and do something that is significant. This is a great group.
Okay, let's set our next meeting. So I think I know the 1st and the 3rd is city council, and I think Jennifer or Katie had indicated that the 2nd Tuesday was the history committee.
HPC.
Yeah.
Yeah, frequently. This actually month it is not, but it is
Right.
Plan Commission.
So what are the second Wednesdays like?
So I'm not sure what time they're having court. I think court's mostly going to be in the afternoon if they're able. That is a regular court date, but I don't know what they're doing with court right now.
Okay.
So, once life gets back to normal, that is a regular court day, but.
Great. How about the second Thursday?
Of September
Yeah.
is Board of Adjustment.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, the second Tuesday is the day after Labor Day.
And that's also Plan Commission.
Right. And I am out of town from the 12th through the 19th. So if you want to have it during that period of time, Katie is our not co-chair, but
you would only be able to do that on Wednesday the 16th or Friday, but.
And I will be out. I will not be able, and I will not have any internet access at all.
The week after, you can do Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday. 21st,
So
22nd, and 24th.
Do we want to have it on the 22nd?
Sure.
Does that work for everyone?
It
Sure.
works for me. Yes.
Okay, so let's schedule it for September 22nd at 6:30. Katie, I'm going to ask you to get the agenda items and I will talk to you about making sure that you get it to Katie and all that so she can get the meeting posted, because I won't be back until late on the I should be back late on the 19th, so I should be, but I like to get it out to folks at least a week in advance so you have a chance to look at it and then add any items that you want. So I will try to get an agenda item to you, Katie, and then you can share it with everyone the week before, the week of the 14th. Okay. So, so our next meeting is scheduled for September 22nd at 6:30 p.m. Again, Cindy and Angela, welcome. It's so great having you.
Yeah, thank you both.
Yep.
Thank you all.
And good to see everyone. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
A motion that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Scott seconded. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Thanks.
Great. Talk to you
Take care.
later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Dale,
Yes, Mayor.
are we going to visit again tomorrow over something else? We-
I'm getting to be a Zoom expert, Mayor.
Yeah. Are you at home or are you in City Hall?
I'm actually at home. I didn't need to have any of my files on my computer, so I made it home tonight.
Yay, I'm glad to hear that. So
I told him he could go.
good, Aaron. Thank you.
This is Jen.
That was Jennifer.
Oh, Jen, thank you, Jen.
He asked me for permission to go home.
Oh, well, that
Oh,
tells
no,
you
people.
something about your power role in the city.
Oh, yeah. Terrifying.
She's the boss.
Hey, Dale, I thought our conversation today with Manchester was pretty good.
I thought it was very good, very productive.
Very productive, and I think we may have hit on something that is a nice model.